Okay, day 2 of the Atlanta-Miami practice in the books. We got, the prior sessions of Dolphins versus themselves, and we got 2 days to kind of use back-to-back for comparisons for our evaluations now. So big news out of today. There's a lot of news. Big news, obviously, my man Terron is back. Limited, but back. Red zone success compared to yesterday. And then obviously the fingers crossed news of Waddle getting injured. We'll cover that. I don't think it's a big deal. It just sucks anyway. Bunch of injuries today, but nothing, on the face of it looking too devastating. But I'm going to cover for the full podcast today. I'm going to do, obviously, like I just said, the Waddle injury, red zone, day 1 versus day 2, and the protection, understanding the protection. Nothing too deep, but just to really kind of lay it out there. Offensive good news, defensive good news, Tua and the tight ends, and of course, the return of Terron. So that will be my slate today. I'm going to try to get through it quickly, but I think there's some really important stuff here. And I guess I'll start off with, what else did you think? My man Terron. Terron, this is how I feel. I miss you more every day. It is good to have this guy back. And I saw a tweet from Travis Wingfield. Terron Armstead impact is real. He just put Joe Graziano on the turf with a perfectly executed snatch and trap. If you haven't been following me like more than 2 weeks, then maybe you don't know. But I like Terron. I've been sounding out the value of Terron, the huge impact that this guy brings to the team. And I kind of felt like this was like, is the sky blue? Is water wet? I understand what he's saying, but man, if you don't really understand what the impact this guy has, and you've been listening to me, I haven't been doing my job, and I'm going to work a little bit harder. But I think from last year, most Dolphin fans understand, but I still think that the weight of it, the true weight of it, isn't fully felt. And sometimes I learn a little bit more too, so I can understand that. Chris Perkins, Tua, middle to Waddle, nice block by Armstead versus the rush. Ahmed runs left. Ahmed runs left for maybe 6 to 7 yards, follows Armstead at LT and win at LG. So we saw, and there was another one down here. Where is it? Oh, funny one. This is by Poupart. Armstead stood over the Atlanta defender after he fell or was pushed down, and Armstead kept him from getting up. My man, Terron, was back, limited basis, but he was out to show he's a leader. He was out, the alpha, out to show what he can do. He's just flexing his muscles for a little bit, and then they put him back in the cage to rest him up. This guy's a beast. Super charismatic, super smart, great leader, and super talented. And his team is one team, literally, that with him, and then another team without him. So we've got to understand he's only in a handful of snaps today. So, the grading from yesterday to today is not fully, it hasn't taken its final form. When Terron gets the full day in, then you'll get the full flavor of this blocking unit, this offense. Still right now, it's wounded without their leader. So you got to keep that in the bank as we evaluate this day, and especially the blocking and the offense. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. So, I'm going to get in. Yesterday we had terrible red zone. It was a disaster. Today it was excellent in the red zone. Now, I don't know if Terron was in any of the red zone. I couldn't figure it out, because I'm parsing his information. So I really don't know. But we have to understand that the red zone, when you constrict space, the first order of business is the line play. And For a team like Atlanta, all their talent is up front. They don't have much at linebacker. They don't have much at secondary. And then what they do have is hurt. So as you get deeper and deeper into this defense, it gets weaker and weaker. And when you constrict it like this, and if you can make a play on this front, it really puts a lot of pressure on the linebacker group and the secondary, because all it takes is one miss and you got a touchdown. And so when you're in the red zone against a very bad team like this defense, and then maybe Terron's I don't know, but all it is like one play and like, oh, we did our thing. And it looks really, really good. Now, when you're not getting it, that sucks. So today was like not really, oh, wow, we're awesome. It was like, okay, we did what we're supposed to do. And if Terron's in there on these red zone plays, then that really alters it, because with Terron in there and Connor and Hunt, you've got three excellent linemen that can really neutralize the main talent of this defense and then expose that secondary. So we should be putting these points on. And I do think that it was good for us to do, but it's kind of an expected with what we're facing here. So we should continue to see this. Let's, get some more. We'll see there's a scrimmage coming up and hopefully more reports. If we get a full day at Terron, we're going to see something really, really special. Now, Jackson, I'll get into the offensive line a little bit. I'll get into the rest. Jackson was beat one-on-one report, but I told you one-on-one is important. Our defense was beaten one-on-one today, and it kind of adds to what I was saying yesterday. Our defense was beat one-on-one today, and some tweets were coming out. I'm on a tweet thing. What's going on here? And then all of a sudden it became to 11-11s, and it was just, we just dominated them. Remember, Atlanta has a talented offensive line, and one-on-ones are one thing. The D said they were flat, then they came out angry, and they dominated. So one-on-one is definitely one thing. Now, Hunt had a nice pancake block. I think it's his second one in 2 days. Some people are saying that I know to go show up to the practices that he's been a little flat, him and Connor. But guys like this, if you remember Marino, not saying they're at Marino level, but Marino had the worst preseason games. The juice just wasn't there. These guys are slowly gaining their strength. I have really no concern about them. Jones was beat for a sack, which, I don't like to see. But this was from Barry Jackson, I believe. Dolphins offense again delivered an underwhelming performance, except during the red zone drills when Miami scored several touchdowns. Among Dolphins quarterback, Tua threw the only interception. Falcons had at least 2 sacks, and the Dolphins running game had several plays blow up, including one by Myles Gaskin. The offensive line generated little push. But again, you have to remember, Terron wasn't in all day, so you had Joe Blow at some of these spots. And this front is talented. This front is the defense. And so the game is controlled at the line of scrimmage. But you also have to understand that a lot of the protection comes from the coach going, okay, these are my pieces, this is my weakness, this is my strength. Let me call specific plays to put them in positions to accentuate their weaknesses and protect them from their strength. Play calls, game plan. This goes a long way, along with Jackson. So, and you got guys shuttling in and out. And like I said yesterday, there's like third stringers playing here, and some of them are Eichenberg. So we got to really just kind of let's see a little bit more. When Terron is in all practice, we get one of those. Then I'm going to put some gravitas on the evaluations. But for this, I really, it is what it is. Skylar Thompson, he was in heavy pass rush, way off early, sometimes heavy pass rush. Poupart said Kendall Lamb stood out, Alama Ulave. On the flip side, one player who has trouble in his reps was Liam Eichenberg. Whoa, the sky's blue. And look, most of us, we're pretty clear that Eichenberg was no bueno. But do you remember last year, the big debate with Smith, and I still can't remember the O-line coach's name. There was kind of a little, power struggle going on, who to start. And Smith was the guy who was like, well, Eichenberg's done some really good things. And, it's a really tough decision. And then we heard Greer in the offseason say, some GM came up to us and said, that Eichenberg, that's a shame he's out. He's doing so good. This is like, I've taken my crazy pills here. It's very clear he should have been benched for a long time. But he got his start 3 years ago because someone, I don't know who, decided to ship Flowers out and Karras out. And we were forced to operate with Jackson and Dieter and Eichenberg. And so something is really, really, really off that it's taken this long to come to the evaluation that Eichenberg is struggling. And so we really need to say either the staff is just blatantly lying to us, or they're inept with this Eichenberg thing. And I understand there's a way to massage it without being a total BS artist. So I feel like I got some BS artistry last year because, this is making it clear. And this regime, its intention was Eichenberg was going to start. That's why no one of real note was brought in to challenge him. And so that's concerning. If this does not work out right, and say, get out of jail free card of win doesn't work out, this is a big time screw job and BS artistry. And it's really got to be a big asterisk up there. But let's see if Eichenberg is on the roster week 1. Let's see if he's starting week 1, and let's see how Wynn does. Patience is key in evaluation. Now, one of them came on a play where Austin Jackson in one of the sacks was beat. So Jackson was beaten in 11-on-11 for a sack. And then to his first snap inside, because of some lightning, they went inside. Grady Jarrett sacked him. Now, Grady Jarrett's an inside guy. Who did he beat? That's really interesting to me. If he beats Wynn, the matchups of skill sets is telling me something. If he beat Hunt, that's something else, and I'd have to analyze that. But I'm thinking if he beat Hunt or Connor, that would have been a note. So if anybody knows who gave this sack up, who was Jarrett over, how did it come about, I would really be curious to know. So now that was a protection. Like I said, let my man Terron get in there and for a whole practice, and then we could put our foot in the ground a little bit more. So there's the Waddle shakeup, fell on the football, was down, they say, for 4 minutes. Right here, Barry Jackson, Waddle, if they're making a catch, departs practice and goes into the facility and injured something on his right side. He's walking out under his own power. Waddle seems to be hurt after making a catch, walking off on his own, but clutching his torso. Somebody else said he was down for about 4 minutes. So it could have been the wind knocked out of you. When you fall on that football, that lower rib, sometimes you can have problems there. It's hard to bruise the ribs on that football, but sometimes you can crack that lower rib if you fall on it. But more than likely, a lot of times you might hit that stomach, lose your breath, and they say, you know what, kid, just go inside. So I think I don't think it has to be anything serious. He could have fallen on the tip of the football too, and that hurts, So worst case scenario, maybe a bruised internal organ. But that's like really I highly doubt that. He's not that heavy, and the guy's like jacked out of his mind. So we'll see how that plays out. We had a few little things, more injuries today to add to the list. Bethel, Ingold, Jeff Wilson, his hand. Now, Wilson's had a lot of. He was banged up early. He's been banged up now. You got kind of like older man Mostert. You always got Gaskin in the gas tank, but he doesn't really work that well in the wide stretch. But then you got A-Chain. A-Chain keeps on delivering. Now, Cam Smith's been a little quiet. I think he gave up a touchdown yesterday. He's been a little quiet, but that's okay. You go through ebbs and flows. Let's see how it plays out, but nothing like, devastatingly poor. But A-Chain is now taking it of like, I'm like the superstar rookie over here. He had like someone said a 40-yard touchdown, another good day by the kid, and he's going to be big for us. Jeff Wilson and Mostert, Mostert's excellent if he wasn't so old and he didn't get the injury issues. Wilson's a solid guy. Mostly, one-cut guy, so it's based on, the blocking stuff. But A-Chain is rising and showing some really, really good stuff, and we're going to need that. So now I screwed up yesterday. I was doing my thing, getting ready, and I saw Baker had the orange jersey yesterday. I'm like, oh, he got in practice. For some reason, I said it was because of how he performed in the Atlanta practice. But it was from the scrimmage. So I screwed up, but I still hold to my premise because the fact that he got that in the scrimmage without any really big notable plays, my premise still holds true, but I kind of, the details were fuzzy and wrong, so I do apologize. It was just like, I saw that at the end just before I was ready to record, and I kind of just went with it, and I really didn't think it out, and a lot of times when I do those kind of things, I screw up. Now, Peely, who had an excellent day yesterday. It was not much about him today, but Falcons Pro Bowl, Lindstrom with a good block on Brandon Peely. This guy is probably the best guard in the league. And so that's expected. And it also kind of says what he was doing yesterday, because these guys have good offensive line talent. Now, Noah drew Kyle Pitts in a mid-zone, red zone, 7-on-7. His coverage, this is from Travis Wingfield. His coverage forced a tee into the back of the end zone, created a tiny window for Riddler, and the ball was high and out of bounds. Igbo's confidence pretty clearly rising. Now, Noah is still doing good, and I think this guy's going to stick. And I'm not saying he's going to be commensurate with his draft status, but I think he's finally ready for production. And a kid like this who hasn't seen much action, who's, kind of young, he has plenty of time to mature, plenty of time to maturate. It still doesn't help us for losing all those years, because now he's a free agent. So if he has a good season, we're going to have to pay. And we basically only going to get 1 year value out of him if he succeeds. It's still good, but it's still kind of like a miss in a certain way. But he's a great story anyway. Now, last part, Tua had a little bit of a rough day today. I think he was like 5 of 14, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, couple of drops. This was his worst day yet. But, I mean, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. We have to understand, Terron. When Terron's in all day, then I'm going to give Tua and everybody else that higher grade. Still want to see sharpness. But, you heard about Skyler on the run all day. And so this was not a conducive environment. Doesn't excuse this. This is one we have to file and say, okay, he had a bad day. Tomorrow you want to see him bounce back. You want to see him have a good day. You want to see them succeed in the red zone, and you want to succeed throughout, because this defense should be victimized. But again, let's see what happens with Terron. Now, the good news is one of our guys that comment here and watch this little show is Chris Jones, and he's been at the practices, and I said, this is a report on Higgins making some nice blocks. From yesterday, I guess it was Trey Wingfield. And I said, I never heard any of that, and I'm not seeing it with my eyes. He said, well, I'm here, and I'm seeing it, and I'm telling you that's what I'm seeing. So this is a further evidence, and great. I love when commenters are at practices and they say this stuff. I got Missouri in me. I told them I need to see it myself. But, this is, visual confirmation from somebody I talked to, and I trust some of the things these guys say, that Chris says. I like what he says. He's a smart guy. So I like this, because if Higgins can get to that stage and keep rising up the ladder, if you can get remember, Tua does not have a security blanket, which is the tight end position. The tight end position creates the most mismatches out of anybody, except if you have some crazy running back who's able to, run routes like a receiver. But normally the tight end is the mismatch guy, and we don't have that. And that makes it more difficult and kind of constrains some of the options on Tua. So if Higgins can continue blocking and get to that point with the speed and everything else he has, this is going to be phenomenal news. And this is another data point for me that this kid is actually improving. Big story there. Now, tight ends got a lot of work today. I think it was 2 touchdowns by tight ends. I mean, 1 by Hill and 1 by Smythe. I think that's what it was. But the tight ends got a lot of work today. And I think clearly, you've got to work these guys, because if you don't work them, then when the game comes, they're just not going to pay attention to them. And if you don't throw it to them, then they're just focusing on what you're normally going to do, and it makes it harder. You've got to have as much diversity of weaponry, so the defense has to study all week for that, plan all week for that, and kind of always keep one eye on the thing that is least expected. This is critical to keep the initiative. So I'm very happy to see this here, and I'm hoping that Higgins keeps rising up and doing well. I will still want to see some more blocking from this tight end group, but this was a very positive sign. So anyway, that was the day, guys. Overall, it was positive. Just got to hope Waddle's not injured. Kind of keep these evaluations with the protection still in a pause phase until Terron gets in. It's getting closer and closer till we know. I think certain things are clear. This defense, without Wilkins, was stopping them plenty. It's going to be a good defense. We know Eichenberg is no bueno. Should be on a bench at best. We'll see, though. The rest is in ether, waiting to be confirmed. Anyway, Kerr saying thanks for stopping by again. Catch you next time. Be well. Go Phins. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.